Okay, we are on chapter 5, and just to double check, I remember what happened in 4. Herbie goes to Lady Kraken. She asks him to be a spy. We get his backstory, how he was found in a crate of lemons. And at the very end, a choice he makes is to not tell about Violet. So what does this choice say about Herbie? I know he doesn't like to get in trouble, but I also think he's being kind of a good friend. It's kind of interesting. Okay, lost luggage. In the morning, I am woken up by the sound of munching. Violet Parma is sitting in the middle of my lost property cellar, wrapped in a blanket that she is showering with golden crumbs with an enormous croissant. For a girl who doesn't exist, she's making quite a mess. Breakfast? Violet says, pulling a Danish pastry out from somewhere and tossing it to me. Where'd you get this? I say as I sit up and catch it. It's still warm. There was a pile of them on the cart upstairs in the kitchen. Wait, you've been up into the hotel? Did anyone see you? So I think this detail, how Violet keeps breaking in and to try and get Herbie to help her, she is very determined to find her parents, or just find what the story is, solve this mystery. And he's still a little nervous about getting caught. There was a man who shouted at me in French, says Violet, taking another bite, and a fork bounced off the wall behind me as I ran behind a waiter, but I don't think anyone got a good look at me. Why? I groan. Monsieur de Gries, the hotel's Belgian chef, he guards his kitchen like a fortress, and if he thinks there's a thief around... Do you know what a cameraluna is? I ask, taking a cautious bite from my pastry. Violet shakes her head. But you know what a spy is, right? I say. Just don't let anyone see you, okay? Things could get very serious if you do. There's spies in the hotel? Violet's eyes light up. I ignore the question. He ignores the question because he's the spy. I ignore the question. I'll be expected to open up my lost and foundry soon, and I can hear guests checking in and out at the hotel's reception desk and the distant sound of breakfast being served. I start tidying some of the mess from yesterday, and I'm pleased when Violet gets up to help. With the two of us working, it's not long before things are almost back to how they should be in my little cellar. Utter chaos, but the sort of chaos where I more or less know where everything is and where some proper lost and foundering can be done if someone rings my bell. So this kind of says something. He's got his own little system. I like organized chaos. And it says something about Violet, that she helps him. She's helpful. I wonder where it is, says Violet, as we survey our handiwork. Or where they are, they might have had more than one. Where what is? I say, straightening my cap. I'm already struggling to keep up, and the day has barely begun. My parents' suitcase, says Violet, or cases, I mean. They surely had luggage that they would have left behind in the room when they vanished. Well, where is it? So Violet, she's very, I think that's kind of clever that she thought to look for the suitcase. That's a good question. I should have thought of it. There are hundreds of lost bags and suitcases down here, I say. Going back a century, I'd need to check the register. Well, can you? Can I what? Check the register. I go up to my cubbyhole and lift down the big book where I, and all lost and founders before me, have recorded everything that has ever been handed in at the Lost and Foundry. I bring it down to the cellar, open it out on the floor, and flick back to 12 years before. What are the green check marks for? Asked Violet. That's when something's returned to its owner. See? You write a description of the item in black ink. Make notes in blue if you have a lead on the owner. If you find clues, you mean, says Violet, but I ignore her. And then check the entry off in green if it gets picked up or returned. I see. So is there an entry for Parma about 12 years ago? I know I was found in December. Violet stops talking. I have found the entry describing 2 suitcases and several loose items that were handed in the day Violet's parents vanished. The name Parma is written in careful letters. There are no notes in blue ink and no green check marks. What there are, though, are hard red lines crossing out the entire entry. What does that mean, says Violet. I fiddle with my cap. It means, that is to say, the red lines are, Herbie. Well, I'm afraid it means the owners were declared dead, and the suitcases were handed over to the next of kin. That means family. It means your parents' luggage isn't here. It means someone else in your family came to collect it. Violet shakes her head. No, that's not right. My dad has no other family except my great-aunt Vinegar, of course. That's a great name, Aunt Vinegar. Great-aunt who? Violet makes a face. Great-aunt Vinegar. She's my guardian, but she would never bother with little suitcases, not unless she thought there might be cash or jewels in them. How do you know there wasn't? Because my dad's a writer, says Violet. Great-aunt Vinegar said he wasted his life chasing stories instead of money. Not bothered about sentimental value then, your great-aunt. That face again, only worse. How about your mom, I asked. Did she have any family? There's a pause. Violet? But now I cannot see Violet's face at all. It's vanished behind her mass of hair. I have no idea who my mom is, she says eventually. So I go quiet. Then I see the date. Hey, wait, it says here that your parents' cases were collected 2 years ago. But I was here then. I don't remember that. It's not even my handwriting. Then they must have been stolen, says Violet. One day when you were out, someone came here and took my parents' things. Stolen? From my lost and foundry? He's a little insulted. I think he's very proud of his little job there. Not a little job, but it's possible. And if they were stolen, then someone who knows the lost and foundry works must have done it. I go to the shelf where the Parma suitcases should have been, and sure enough, there's a gap. I shove my hand deep in the dark space between the other lost bags. My fingers find something at the back, so I pull it out. It's 2 pairs of shoes all tied together by the laces. Attached to them is a neat label marked Parma, loose footwear. I bring them over and hand them to Violet. These belong to you now, I say. It's all that's left. I'm sorry, Violet. I feel like he's sympathetic. He feels bad for her, empathizes, and empathetic. Because he doesn't know his parents either. Violet stares at the shoes in her arms, amazed. One pair is a man's brogues, well worn and scuffed. I'm not sure what kind of shoe that is, but I'm going to look that up. The other is a pair of ladies' boots, stout ankle length and polished smart because beneath the dust. It's the shoes the police found on the harbor wall after Violet's parents went missing. As I watch, Violet unties the laces with trembling fingers. That means that this is really meaningful to her. Her hands are shaking. Then she kicks off the flimsy canvas shoes she arrived in and slips the ankle boots onto her feet. Aren't they big, I ask? Violet shakes her head. My mom must have been quite small. For a moment, I think she's going to hide in her hair again, but she wipes her eyes furiously. Is quite small, I mean. I think the fact that she changes from it must have been quite small to is quite small lets us know that Violet is hopeful. Then Violet, I have such trouble keeping this straight. Then Violet snatches up the big leather register and taps the page. Room 407. It says here that my parents stayed in room 407. Well, yes, I want to go there, says Violet, shutting the book with a thud. I want to go there now. I think about saying no. I think about explaining that sneaking Violet up to the 4th floor without being seen is impossible, not with the chambermaids on their rounds and Mr. Mollusk on the prowl, but one look at Violet is enough to tell me that there's no point. Somehow or other, we're going to room 407. So I'm thinking, she's got this look that says, I'm going to room 407. Whether you like it or whether you're coming with me or not. So Violet, again, we are seeing that she is very determined. And that Herbie, he's going to help her because it's not worth fighting. I think there's something there that he keeps going along with her. He really wants to help her. Okay, and now we know there's a little scene change here. 5 minutes later, I'm lurking in my cubbyhole, waiting for the coast to clear. The Grand Nautilus Hotel is a strange place. In high season, it's full of summer guests, people in shorts and shades with sunburns who drift around looking at everything and noticing nothing. But it's not like that in the winter. In the winter, people stay here only if they have good reason, or a bad one. These are the kind of people who look at their reflections in the lobby mirrors just to see if they're being followed, or asked to be seated where they can see but not be seen. These are the people. I love this repetition here. These are the kind of people. These are the people. These are the people with secrets to keep or secrets to uncover. These are people who notice everything. And that's why I've waited till there's no one at all in the lobby except me and ambergris. The hotel receptionist is standing as usual at her enormous mahogany desk. As I saunter over to her, all casual and nothing's up to, as I have to start that sentence over. There's so much going on in that sentence. As I saunter over to her, all casual and nothing's up at all, she makes a face at me that says, I like you, Herbie Lemon. I always have, but I'm tired of defending you from Mr. Mollusk. So don't try any funny business with me, okay? So that kind of says something about Herbie. He's kind of mischievous, I think, that he kind of, if she's is used to his kind of antics. I have a bit of a reputation. Morning, Amber, I say. There's some funny business going on outside. I think you should go and see for yourself. Now, Herbie, Amber warns, peering over with her severe spectacles. No, really, I say. Did you hear that someone stole some croissant from the kitchen this morning? Yes, I did. Chef is furious. Well, I say, the thief is just outside selling those croissants around the side of the hotel. What? I can't do anything about it because I'm only 12-ish. But someone needs to I can't do anything about it because I'm only 12-ish, but someone needs to before old Mullis finds out. So sometimes when I'm reading, I trip myself up and I get confused. So I go back, and that's a strategy I use when I'm confused. And I also notice there's something, he distracts Amber so we kind of find out about him that he's kind of, I think that word mischievous, but also kind of clever how he tricks her. Amber starts to say, I mean, Mr. Mollusk will go ballistic if he finds out. Ballistic is like, crazy. But I can't just leave reception. I tug the front of my uniform straight and snap to smart attention. I'll cover the desk for a moment, I say. You can count on me. So I try to look fresh-faced and dependable. He has those faces he puts on. Fine, Amber says eventually. Thanks, Herbie. I'll be as quick as I can. And she leaves her desk and clip-clops across the marble to the great revolving doors, leaving me feeling triumphant and clever, yes, and a little bit guilty. So he figured out how to get her away from the desk. But I can worry about that later. I nip behind the reception desk and glance both ways. Now I'm completely alone. With the keys to every room in the hotel. Now I'm completely alone with the keys to every room in the hotel. But just as I'm reaching for the key to room 407, something really annoying happens. There's a ding from the elevator. Its doors clack open and Mr. Mullis steps out. Of course, he sees me immediately. Herbert Lemon, he spits my name as he strides towards me. What are you doing there? Where's Miss Grease? At this point, I could either lower my hand and try a grin, which would almost certainly make me look more suspicious, or I could go for a more daring approach. I take the key. Here we are. I take the key. I'm on important lost and founder business, I say in my poshest voice. Someone has left something in room 407. So I'm thinking, what's the posh voice? I'm on important lost and founder business, I say in my poshest voice. Someone has left something in room 407. Sir, old Mullis barks the word out. Sir, I say. On last and founder business, sir, Mullis corrects, corrects, going on a little crimson around the edges, red. You will address me as sir on all occasions. Certainly, sir, I snap to attention again. Not just on certain occasions, sir, but always, sir. Good now. Sir, sir, sir. What is it? Nothing, just practicing. Just practicing, sir. Old Mollusk is close to bursting a blood vessel by now. A winter guest coming out of the dining room looks over and frowns suspiciously. I will, of course, sir, I say, backing away from behind the desk with little bows, giving this manager enough respect and sirs for him to feel he has won out over me. Thank you, sir. I must be off now, sir. And still clutching the key, and to the sound of Amber clip-clopping back into the lobby, I turn and run up the stairs. So this is a long chapter. So I go back and I think, good heavens, what happened in this chapter? Violet is in Herbie's room. They look for the suitcase. They find the shoes. He tricks Amber. He steals the key to go to room 407. And he runs upstairs with the key. Phew! There was a lot going on in that chapter. So make sure you jot that down.